Hey, what's up, guys? It's Coach Pruitt. I wanted to give you guys kind of an explanation to why I became a football coach, what pushed me to be where I am, and how I ended up where I am. Um, so, whenever I was young, my mom and my dad split up, and I actually had an unbelievable childhood. I got to see both my parents through a lot of my life. My dad and my mom are both great. It was just a little bit of a different relationship. So to kind of explain my backstory with my family, my dad is an old country guy out of Cleveland, Oklahoma, which is a real small town. His dad was a welder. My dad is just old, kind of country tough guy. He doesn't. When I stayed with him, I didn't get to sleep in. If I ever did anything that he didn't agree with, I was out back cutting wood, and I'd hear about it and things like that. But those were all things that were really good for me. And my mom was the exact opposite side of the spectrum. My mom was kind of the nurturing type and would let me get away with things, and I could take advantage when I was young. It's just I did take advantage there because I could. So I spent the majority of my time with my mom throughout the weeks, and then I would go see my dad on the weekends. So I would kind of have free reign and have the ability to do things not completely right, to kind of be lazy, to quit things if I didn't like them, to make excuses. So I'd be allowed to do those things with my mom when I was young, and then I go to my dad's house, and it would be a change. He was almost trying to make up for lost time as far as teaching me standards and teaching me to be a man and take control of what I was doing to try to be successful. So I always kind of had that power struggle between being soft and then trying to grow up and be a man with my dad. But with that being said, I always had sports in the background, and I when I was young, I wasn't a great athlete or anything. I was okay, but I would be able to get away with complaining and get away with whining when I was at my mom's house, and then at my dad's house, I couldn't say a freaking word. You know what I mean? What my coach said was law. So with that, I always had the ability to kind of to play both sides of the fence. And it got to a time when I was in high school. Um, I actually thought about quitting football, and it wasn't. I was a sophomore in high school. It wasn't necessarily because I didn't like football. I was just being soft, man. I was just being lazy. I wanted to sleep in the summers and all that stuff, you know. And 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 my dad did not let me. He absolutely would not agree to it. And what I found out later on is the reason my dad made me continue to play through my sophomore year is because he knew the good that it did me. He knew that it was good for me to have a schedule. He knew that it was good for me to be accountable. He knew that it was positive for me to have role models that were not guys that made excuses, that were guys that just got things done. And that kind of leads me into other father figures that I had, which were my high school football coaches. I only got to see my dad, and I got to see it done the right way and the tough way part of the time. So I had to supplement that with ball coaches that didn't give me slack and pushed me and held me accountable. You know, and and me staying through that time in my sophomore year is kind of something that allowed me to get over the hump. And once I got the taste for it, I tended further and further and further towards the side of trying to be a guy that wasn't an excuse maker, and being a guy who was a grinder and tried to do things right and tried to get better and tried to do well in school. And because I knew all those things were going to turn into success, I didn't necessarily think that those things were going to be easier. So my dad helped me stay on that path, which ultimately created momentum for me to start following this line of men that I respected, and men that I knew were trying to do right. And then football just kind of guided me from there. And it didn't have anything to do with playing the game or being a phenomenal football player or the glory of it or anything like that in a small town. It all just had to do with me needing to do something that wasn't easy. You know, me being me being put in a situation that didn't allow me to be comfortable all the time. And that was the only way that I was allowed to grow. I was forced to grow in that. And I'm forever thankful for the men in my life that held my feet to the fire, and didn't allow me to be a soft guy, because I truly believe that my time in football has molded me into what I am today. It has nothing to do with me playing football or any of that. It just has to do with me doing right. And that's really what's guided me to this day. Now, obviously, I love the game of football. I love coaching football. I love offensive line specifically. There's a lot of things that I really enjoy about it. But when it comes down to its core, I like it because it's a guiding force for guys that need it, for young men that need a line to follow. And I think all of the coaches on the staff would agree that coaching ball is not about coaching ball. We don't coach because the X's and O's. That's not why we do it. We coach because somebody in our life earlier on helped guide us on the correct path, and we feel like that helped us be men, or that helped push us to where we needed to be. And that's what I feel like football was for me. And there's a lot of alternative realities where I could have went a different path in my life, um, and there's a lot of alternative realities for you guys to make turns that aren't necessarily the right turns. But one thing I can promise you is that staying with something that is not easy is good for the freaking soul. It's good for you in the long run. Life is not supposed to be easy. You're supposed to have to work for what you have, and football is a microcosm for that. The only way to be successful in this game is to give a part of yourself to it and to respect the process, and the sooner that you get into following that regiment, the easier it will be throughout your entire life. I truly believe that you guys, as young football players who do what we ask you to do, and do things that aren't necessarily easy, I think you're going to be more prepared to be a father, more prepared when you step onto a college campus, more prepared when you get your first real job out of college, more prepared for all of those things that will happen throughout your life, more prepared to be a good husband, because you're used to grinding for what you want, and that's really why I do it. I miss you guys. Holler at me. I know all the coaches in the office are looking forward to getting you guys back whenever that may be. I hope y'all have a good day. Bye.